What's up, everybody? I haven't really talked about my injury to anyone, especially publicly, other than just minor details. But it was important for me to get this message out there through Animal because so many of the people through the Animal Forum, through the Animal family, really supported me and believed in me and encouraged me, and just really kept me motivated to become the best that I could with whatever I was going to be after the injury. And to make a long story short, in my left knee, that was the worst of the two. In the right knee, I had the quad tendon and patella tendon tears. They weren't complete ruptures, they were just, partial tears. That leg is doing really, really well. The left leg was the quad tendon, patella tendon, again, partial tears, the ACL, the MCL, and a broken kneecap. And what had happened originally in the first surgery is they repaired everything. And the second surgery that I had, which was I was in California, they went in and removed the chip. It had actually broken the kneecap and chipped it off and removed that piece. So that simplified the healing to some degree. And then from that point, it was all up to the healing process as far as to what I was going to be able to do. The doctors compared it to a car crash. If you can imagine, I was squatting 750 pounds at the time, no knee wraps, and when I went down, my knees just collapsed into themselves, and it'd be like a front end collision in a car. So, would I walk again? Would I squat again? Could I ever resume normal life? And those were the questions that were running through my head. But I had a really good team of doctors. If you remember the guy from USC that dropped the barbell on his neck, the football player, the surgeon who did that surgery actually performed my initial surgeries. And then along the way in the early parts of the recovery, there's a few attachments on the quad tendon, and in the left leg, something happened that stretched the repair, or slightly tore the repair again. So I had to have another surgery to fix that. And then 2 days later, I was back in surgery again because an infection had set up. So for a month, I had a PICC line in my arm. I was on a serious stream of antibiotics, very limited restrictions, or very limited mobility as far as doing anything. So, it was tough for me mentally because lifting weights and competing, being a power lifter, being someone who is strong, is something that I've identified with. It's a part of who I am. It's my life. And I didn't really know how I was going to recover, if I was going to recover, and to what level I was going to recover. And along the way, I got a message from a guy, and this was very, very early on. I was feeling sorry for myself at this point, kind of unsure about everything. And along the way, I got a message from a guy, and he said, "Hey, Brandon, just want you to know I'm a fan. I'm a competitive power lifter, but I do bench only because I'm in a wheelchair." And he started to tell me his story. He had been injured when he was about 17 years old in a car accident, and he would become paralyzed from the waist down. And he said, what keeps me going is every single morning I wake up believing I can move a toe. Because if I can move my toe, then I believe I can move my foot. And if I can move my foot, then I believe I can move my leg. And if I can move my leg, then I believe I can walk. And this had such a significant impact on me as far as my outlook and going forward, because it was about day 3 and they told me that I wouldn't walk for a long time. But when I got that message, I was like, you know what? I owe it to myself to try. And they had me doing just random movements in the bed, just wiggling my toes, bending my knees slightly, like millimeters, honestly. So I decided to try to stand. I called for a walker, and I stood, and I just shuffled my feet. I wasn't even lifting them, I was just shuffling them. And that told me that I was going to walk, and each day it got a little better, and it got a little better. And then I started getting on a routine of physical therapy. And, if they told me to take 10 steps, I took 20. If they said, leg press 100 pounds, I did 150. And at the 4 month mark, June 1st, I was able to compete at Mark Bell's super training meet. And I squatted 110 pounds and I bench pressed 501 pounds and I deadlifted 705 pounds. And that's really where I'm at now. My body can push away very, very easily. If you have a leg press set at a certain point, I can push it away, no problem. But it's actually lowering the weight that's very difficult for me. Still, it still stretches the quad tendons heavily, puts a lot of pressure in the leg, and it's just a step-by-step process. I've since that meet squatted 200 pounds 3 times, back to back to back, and that really felt like it was nearing my limit as far as squatting down. But now, I'm a week or so from that event. I might be able to do 220. I don't know. But I'm not trying to push that, because as much as I want things to heal, as much as I want things to get better, it's going to take time. There are certain things that I can't rush, because biologically things just take a certain amount of time to heal and get better. That's but people were like, "How did you compete? How did you do this? Or why did you do this?" Some people thought I made a fool of myself by squatting 110 pounds. But the message that I wanted people to see was, it's okay wherever you're at. I get questioned all the time, when should I compete? I don't want to compete until I can do this or I can do this. The reality of the matter is, if you love this sport and if you love competing, just compete, no matter where you are. It's admission, it's self-admission of where you are and a starting point to where you're going. So, yeah, it was somewhat embarrassing to squat 110 pounds. But if you look at where I came from, I was very proud to squat 110 pounds. Going out the next time, as long as I get better, that I'm moving in the right direction. And so many people don't understand that, and they just forget that sometimes you have to put the bigger journey on hold for the small journeys. And I definitely believe that I will be back to 100% and beyond, because that's just the type of person I am. And something that I've said before, and I'll say it here, I can handle not getting back to 100%. I can handle that. What I can't handle is not giving 100%. So along the way, when people ask me, well, why didn't you just bench press, or why didn't you just push pull? I'm a power lifter. I'm a full meat power lifter. And if that meant squatting 50 pounds, that's what I was going to squat. If it meant squatting 100 pounds, that's what I was going to squat. Whatever I could squat, that's what I was going to do, because that's the best I can give you at that point. And that's the point, or the message, that I want everybody that sees what I'm doing to get. It doesn't matter what you do, it's that you do your best. And, that's the thing, is this sport has so many great people in it, and there's so many strong people in it. There's always going to be the possibility for someone to be better than you. And that can't stop you from competing. It can't stop you from doing your best. And, that's one of the things that I think Animal has really stood for, is, just being a blue-collar mentality, doing the best that you can with what you've got, and sticking to that. No matter how long it takes, no matter how rough it is, you just keep going, you keep coming back, you keep doing the very best that you can day in and day out. And that's where the results come from. It's not ever going to be easy, especially the closer you get to the top. That's when things get the hardest. But admitting to yourself where you are, what you are, and who you are is going to make the journey much easier, because you're not lying to yourself, you're not lying to anyone else. You're doing the best that you can. And I want to take this moment to thank Animal, and to thank all the people within Animal, and I can extend that to the forum members, people who support the products and company, but especially Frank McGrath. All the Animal athletes have been great to me. Everybody, I think every single one has reached out to me in some way, shape, or form, but nobody probably can understand or comprehend the devastation. And I don't even understand his, because it was much worse than mine. But Frank McGrath, he he was one of the first guys to message. We were in constant contact throughout this whole process. And even now, we push one another and talk to one another and encourage one another because we all have bad days. He has bad days. I have bad days. And it just seems like right when you need it the most is when that guy will send you a text message and be like, hey, man, saw something that you did, really motivated me. This is what it gave me. And then through that conversation, I get motivated, and we just push one another that way. But I know Frank has been a big part of Animal for a long time, and a lot of people look up to that guy. But there's definitely somebody underneath the physique that people don't get to see all the time. They don't get to realize how good of a person he really is and how genuine he is. He really cares about people, and he really cares about the company Animal, and how they treat people. So I want to thank you guys, and I want to take this time to shine a little light on Frank, in a different perspective than he gets the light shined on him for sure. But thank you guys for checking this out. I got a lot more videos coming to Animal. The log is going to be updated every single day that I train. I'm doing basically 2 to 3 upper body workouts a week with 1 to 2, dedicated lower body workouts beyond just the physical therapy type stuff. So, it's going to be a journey. And I fully intend to come back better than ever. So I hope you guys are a part of it. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys the next time.